Hey you guys, thank you for joining me. Today we are going to be making a beautiful beetroot risotto, and we're going to be using these gorgeous beetroot that have just been harvested from the garden. We are going to put some fresh herbs in there. We've got basil and parsley, and I've actually found that I love to pair basil with beetroot. The flavours work really well together, but also seasonally they're occurring beautifully in the garden at the same time. So I'm going to dice our onion. And I've got my scraps bin right next to me because it's a really good idea to keep those scraps out of the way as you go. We want a fairly fine dice for the onion. And just going to dice them up. Cutting them lengthways. It doesn't really too much matter what your shape is. The main thing is we don't want huge big chunks in there all the time. Okay, so we're going to just heat the pan. I'm going to move those out of the way so we don't singe those gorgeous leaves. Now I've got a wok here. You could use a wok, you could use a large deep fry pan or saute pan or something with higher sides. The main thing is that you've got fairly large flat space on the bottom of your dish. Something tall and narrow, you're not going to get the area that you really need for cooking the risotto. Once your stock is hot, just turn the temperature down and keep it at a really gentle simmer. That means that when we start adding the stock into our rice, it's not going to be too different in temperature, and so the cooking process won't be interrupted by adding cold liquid. So we'll just wait for that to heat up a little bit, and we'll get some garlic happening as well. So I reckon just a couple of cloves of garlic will do the trick. You can turn it up or down depending on what you most like, whether you like it really garlicky or not. So to do the garlic, I just like to take the end off, give it a little squash with the knife, and I find that that helps the skin to come off really easily. Just mind that you're careful of that sharp blade and keep your hand well away from it. And just a fine chop of the garlic. There goes our garlic. So I've heated the pan now. I'm just going to start by adding a little splash of water. You can see the pan's pretty warm, so I'm going to turn it down a tiny little bit. And then in go the onions. And get started before we bring in the garlic, just so that they can soften a little bit. Sometimes we might like a little bit of caramelization on the onions. With this dish I'm going to just soften and saute them gently rather than caramelize them, because it just gives more of a softness to the flavour of the risotto. So let them saute down for a little bit. Right, so we've got some gorgeous beetroot here. I've given them all a good wash. The recipe says 1 large beetroot. I'm going to use 3 small ones, and I'm going to preserve all of these, or reserve all of these greens. Well, they're not really green, they're actually a beautiful dark purple, but we're going to put them in a sauteed beet greens dish, which I will put in another video. So I'm just going to chop those off like that. I'm going to do my garlic here, and I'm just going to put them to the side and keep them. So you can see now that the onions are starting to soften. I want to take them a little bit further than that, They're softening a little bit, but we're not getting those translucent bits on there that we really want to see before we add the garlic in. If you find that it starts to dry out a little bit and starts to catch on the bottom, just add a little splash more water and keep cooking it down gently. Okay, and we can prepare our beetroot. So I have just scrubbed these. I have not peeled them. I think that it's not really necessary to peel them, but I do like to chop off. If you notice some of these bits are a little bit coarse around the top, I just trim them away with the knife. And maybe just some of those little hairy bits. If we're roasting, they can actually stay on, it's fine. But in this dish, we want to just kind of leave them off. Beetroot is such a delicious vegetable to use in savoury and sweet dishes. I really love it. If you have a lot of beetroot and perhaps you've had a good crop from the garden, or you notice it's at a great price in the market or the fruit and veg, something that I like to do to preserve them is just to boil them whole. You just need to give them a scrub, trim off the stems, leaving kind of that much, and boil them in some water, cover them up in water and boil them until they're really soft. And then the skin comes away beautifully and they're all ready then to puree up for dips, or you can maybe make them into muffins. Beetroot pairs really well with chocolate, so you can maybe do some cacao and beetroot muffins, something like that. But yeah, they're really versatile and beautiful vegetable. Salads, soups, all sorts of things. So we're just wanting a little dice, maybe that kind of size, so pretty small, nothing too huge. Pop in a little bit more water and our garlic can come in now as well. Okay, you can see here now that the onions are looking really quite nice and soft. They've got that kind of translucent little edge to them, and I'm happy that they are ready for the beetroot to go. Got our chopped beetroot here, looking really lovely. And just give that a little moment there in the pan as well. I'm just going to saute that in with the onions. Now you could use a brown onion if you wanted to with this dish. I like to choose the red onions because I love the colours to all be harmonious and to really have that vibrant, bright pink colour that we're going to get at the end. Okay, so we'll give that a moment there. And then we're going to add in 2 cups of arborio rice, which is your classic risotto rice. And we're going to stir that through, and you'll notice that the rice is going to take on that colour already from the beetroot. And this step actually just causes the rice to open a little bit and be more receptive to the stock once we bring that in. Okay, now we want to add some verjuice as well. I like to use verjuice for just a really gentle touch of acidity. You use it in the place where you might often use wine, white wine in cooking. So just 1/4 cup, it's pretty mild. If you don't have it, you could add acidity in a different way. You could maybe use some apple cider vinegar or something like that. But if you do swap it out for apple cider vinegar, don't use the full amount. Use maybe only a third to a half, because it is a lot stronger than the veggies. And we'll stir that through. That there. Such pretty colours, so gorgeous. And now it is time to start bringing in the stock. So I've just got a low salt vegetable stock here. I'll slide my pan over so I don't drip on the stove. A couple of cupfuls. Now, I don't know if you noticed that sound there, but that's pretty good. What we want is the two dishes here to be a similar temperature. If you get a massive sizzle once you put your stock into the pan, you know that your pan's too hot. And if the cooking kind of stops once you put your stock in, then you know that the stock is too cold. So we want to have them about the same so that it doesn't interrupt the cooking process as we go along. Now from here it's a matter of cooking it down, stirring occasionally. You see there's quite a bit of liquid there, so we want to cook it down until that liquid is absorbed. The beetroot is going to cook as the rice does. Once the liquid's absorbed, we're going to bring in a couple more ladles full of stock and repeat this process until our rice is done. It's probably going to be about the right amount, but always go by your rice, not by the amount of stock that you've got. So we'll just see how it goes, but it should be close to the right amount. Okay, so you can use, we've got some parsley here, you can use any kind of parsley, you can use a flat leaf, you can use a curly leaf, it really doesn't matter. I'm not going to have too much of the stem in there though, so before I chop it, I'm just going to go through and pick away most of the leaves, keeping an eye on my risotto as we go. You can see there it's pretty much absorbed. Can you see that? So that means time to bring in a little bit more stock. Another couple of ladles full. Risotto is actually a really relaxing dish to make. I think it's almost a meditative process, how we kind of just have to be really calm and relaxed with the process. It's not something you can hurry. So yeah, if you're making risotto at home, make sure you relax, enjoy the process, and don't rush it. Okay, now we're going to just roughly chop our parsley. It doesn't have to be super fine. I find it easier to kind of pull it into a little bunch like that, and then just gradually shave away at that little pile that we have there. See how it looks? If you want it any finer than that, maybe just run over it a couple more times, but we don't want it to be crazy fine. I still want to see the difference between the green and the pink. Alright, I'm pretty happy with that. That looks good to me. Put it into a bowl. And then we can get started on the basil. Okay, again, just picking the leaves of the basil. We don't want a stem. And again, because basil bruises really easily, I don't want to cut it over and over again. I want to get it into the size that I'm hoping for in as few chops as possible. So I'm going to bring it into a little bunch again and then go through just shaving away at that edge. Oh my goodness, smells amazing. So good. And then we can go see how we're going. Risotto. Okay, we're getting close. More stock. So I think we're getting close. Let's have a little taste and see. So we just really want to get a few grains of rice. And what we want is the rice to be softening but not completely soft all the way through. So we want it al dente, which means to the tooth. So there's still a little bit of bite to it. So I'm actually happy that that is going to be just perfect by the time it gets to the table. We've got probably about, I don't know, a ladle full of stock left. I'm not going to use it because I don't want to overcook the risotto. Now, a lot of people are kind of a little bit scared of making risotto, and I think that there's one common mistake that I see people make with it. They take it off the stove when they think it looks ready. We actually want to stop it when there's still a little bit of that soupy liquid left, because that's going to continue to absorb with the residual heat for a little bit longer. So if you take it off when it looks ready, by the time it gets to the table, what liquid is there is going to be absorbed and it's going to be gluggy. So leaving a little bit of that soupiness will give you a really beautiful result in the end. So now we're going to stir through the basil. Most of the parsley, we can save a little bit for our garnish at the end. And let's turn off the heat now. We've got this gorgeous contrast. Can you see that? Between that beautiful pink and the green. Gorgeous. Now let's serve it up. Okay, that little bit of extra parsley on there. The leaves that we saved earlier. And there you have it, beetroot risotto. Enjoy.